I'm presenting an acquired oculomotor palsy, a retrospective study in a tertiary eye care center. Acquired oculomotor palsies can be divided into third, fourth, sixth, and multiple cranial nerve palsies. Vasculopathic risk factors are the most common cause of isolated nerve palsy. Other causes include trauma, inflammation, infection, and neoplasm. Since it can be a presenting feature of more serious condition like tumor, it becomes essential to know the etiological profile of current cranial nerve palsies to plan for appropriate management. Some causes can be vision and life-threatening, which needs timely intervention. We aim to study the incidence, clinical profile, and etiology of the patients presenting with acquired oculomotor palsies. We did a retrospective observational study, including 391 patients presenting with oculomotor palsies at Arvind Eye Hospital, Coimbatore, between September 19 and February 20 over a period of 6 months. All patients were more than 18 years of age. Data were collected from hospital record. A detailed history, refraction, intraocular pressure, color vision, central fields, anterior segment and fundus examination, blood investigations, diplopia, Hess charting, and systemic evaluation were done in all patients. Neuroimaging was done in all multiple cranial nerve palsies and whenever needed in isolated nerve palsy. We had a total of 391 patients, and incidence of nerve palsies in neuro-ophthalmology clinic was 12.9%. 11.3% of patients lost to follow-up, probably due to lockdown. We had 56% of patients presenting with sixth nerve palsy, followed by 23% third nerve palsy, 15% fourth nerve palsy, and 6% of the patients with multiple cranial nerve palsies. Average age of presentation was 54.4 years. Males were more commonly affected than females. Sixth nerve palsy was significantly greater, and 53.5% of patients received neuroimaging either through an MRI or CT. These were the causes we found in our study. And the five common causes were ischemia at 69.5%, followed by trauma, ischemia, idiopathic, and compressive causes. The proportion in each cranial nerve. In isolated cranial nerves, nerve palsies 3, 4, and 6, ischemic cause was found to be more prevalent, followed by traumatic cause and inflammatory cause. In multiple cranial nerve palsy, traumatic and inflammatory cause was more prevalent, followed by compressive causes. Compressive causes were also found in third and sixth nerve palsies. Out of 391 patients, 210 patients had diabetes, 132 patients had hypertension, and 38 patients had hypercholesterolemia. And diabetes was the most common systemic history found across all nerve palsies, and double vision was the most common presenting symptom across all nerve palsies. And cranial nerve palsies had a prevalence increased in older patients, 55 to 64 years age group across cranial nerve 3, 4, and 6. Trauma is the most prevalent etiology between ages 20 to 39, while ischemia is the most common among ages 40 and above. So cranial nerve palsy refers to disorders that lead to partial or complete loss of cranial nerve functionality. Ischemic causes were the most frequent at 69.5%. Similar prevalence was seen in Fulgile et al. Study done at AIIMS. When patients had multiple cranial nerve involvement, traumatic and inflammatory causes were frequent. Head trauma was reported to be associated with more multiple cranial nerve injuries rather than isolated single nerve palsy. Western studies find trauma to be fourth most common cause, whereas our study finds trauma to be the second most common cause. In India, road traffic and two-wheeler accidents are more prevalent, possibly leading to increased traumatic etiology. Neuroimaging rates were lower at 53.5%, but greater neuroimaging rate was seen in the West. According to one study, 36% had prospective MRIs and 65% already had neuroimaging done before consultation. In our study, diabetes had a higher association with cranial nerve palsies, while Western studies find hypertension to be more prevalent. Similar trend like our study was seen in Fulgile et al. Study. Diplopia was the most common presenting complaint, followed by drooping, defective vision, and pain. Similar association was made by other studies. Sixth nerve was the most common, and similar prevalence was seen in Fulgile et al. Study and Bradley Richards et al. Study. Isolated cranial nerve palsies were more prevalent in older patients. Multiple cranial nerve palsies were more prevalent in 50 to 54 year age group, probably with higher association with traumatic etiologies. Men were more affected than females at a ratio of 2.69:1. Higher associations of cranial nerve palsies were those of trauma, diabetes, and hypertension, which are all reported to be male predominant. Between ages 20 to 39, trauma is the most common etiology, but this changes to ischemia between ages 40 and above. So traumatic brain injuries tend to be more prevalent in younger population, with males between 18 to 44 years being affected the most. Out of 13 patients with compressive lesions, we had 11 patients with space-occupying lesions and 2 had carotid cavernous fistula. The space-occupying lesions we found in our study were schwannoma, meningioma, hemangioma, pituitary adenoma, skull metastasis, and sinonasal malignancy. We had 2 patients with mucormycosis presenting with multiple cranial nerve palsy. To conclude, the most common cranial nerve palsy was sixth nerve palsy. Males were more affected than females. The most common etiology was ischemia, followed by trauma, inflammation, and neoplasm. Trauma being more prevalent at younger age and ischemia at older age. Understanding different types of cranial nerve palsies will help in building a better comprehension, which will aid in timely diagnosis and prompt treatment. Now there is a change in trend post-COVID with increase in infective cause and decrease in traumatic cause due to lockdown. These are my references. Thank you.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Apart from the discussion, what is the main treatment you have given to the ischemic pathology, etiology? Ischemic, for ischemic case.
Sir, for
Apart
ischemic,
from treatment for diabetes, hypertension,
yes,
what
sir.
the, yeah.
Sir, for patients with ischemic etiology, we asked them to control the systemic
Yeah, of course.
parameters, sir. And then we were closely following up the patients, sir. Mostly they were recovering within a month, sir.
Like any cases, did you try with aspirin or methylcobalamin, like that?
Yes, sir. All patients were given methylcobalamin, sir. Like multivitamins, neurovitamins we have given, sir. But
Aspirin.
aspirin we have not given, sir.
Oh, okay. Any other panelists, madam, sir?
What are the duration of follow-up, Dr. Karthik?
Minimum they had a 3 months follow-up, ma'am.
But how did anyone require surgical intervention? Was there any residual double vision which needed any intervention? Or all recovered? It's because it's a very large number. That's the good thing about the study. It's the numbers were really impressive. So what was the outcomes that could have come out a little better, I feel?
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, ischemic causes, like they all improved well, ma'am. And
Traumatic?
like traumatic causes, ma'am, like they didn't improve well, ma'am.
So you need to follow up those patients,
yes,
and share that. It's I think very large numbers. Good study.